So, good evening, students. Uh, Only three students have joined. Okay, maybe subsequently students will join with us. Uh, Today I shared article that was published in a magazine called Voices of Civil Society, where I conceptualize the civil society, right? So I hope that you have gone through that article where I analyze the concept given by you know John Locke and Hegel and Gramsci, right? So I analyze their conception of civil society. Let me share something. Can you see the PDF on your screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. There is no need to read everything in that article. But what I had underlined, you just read it. I'm also reading for you, and let's try to understand the concept of civil society. Now, the person, David Held, right? Now he defined civil society like this. Now, civil society is made of areas of social life. So, civil society deals with the social life, the domestic world. Domestic world means a world which is bounded by a boundary. For example, Indian civil society. Now, Indian civil society will work within India. Pakistan civil society work, within, Pakistan. So, civil society is made up of areas of social life, domestic world, economic sphere, cultural activities, political interaction, which are recognized voluntarily outside the control of the state, right? So, civil society deals with what? Civil society deals with issues, social life of the domestic world, its economic, sphere, its cultural activities, its political interaction. Even civil society, though it is, different from the state, but civil society does certain political function. But we can say that these political actions. I mean, it's a political action by the non-political actor, right? So civil society is non-political, so it is political action by non-political actor. So this is how David Held understood the concept of civil society. And there is another contemporary philosopher Habermas. You can see here Habermas. Now to him, he is saying that civil society constitutes what is called public sphere. So civil society is not about private sphere, rather it is a public sphere. Right. And this public sphere has been further, explained by Neera Chandok. He's an Indian political theorist. She has extensively worked in on the concept of civil society. Right now, Neera Chandok, what she is saying, it is the public sphere where individuals come together for various purposes. And what are these various purposes? The social life, economic issues, cultural issues, political issues, right? So these are the various issues. Uh, you know, I mean, individuals comes to public sphere with various purposes. Now, this public sphere, I mean, this it is a sphere which is public. Now, it is, giving a justification why this sphere is called. This, this sphere within which civil society operates. Why that sphere is called public, right? And she is saying that it is a sphere which is public because it is formally accessible to all. That means nobody is denied. Anyone can be part of civil society. So there is no, structural limitation. I mean, to any, person within that, world. Right? So it is a sphere which is public because it is formally accessible to all, and in principle, all are allowed entry into the sphere as the bearer of rights. Right? So this is important. So all can enter to this civil society. And what is the character of that all? All individuals means individuals means basically to Nirachandu, they are the bearers of right. Right. So those individuals, in brackets you understand individual as bearers of right. Only they can enter to the civil society, and they can work on various issues, and that sphere is called the public sphere. Right. Now, this is again that public sphere has been interpreted differently by the liberal and Marxist. Right. So, liberal perspective and Marxist perspective on public sphere are not same; they are different. Now, to liberals, civil society presupposes a democratic state. Right. Now, in a liberal system or civil society in a liberal system, it 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 has a positive understanding about the state, and it presupposes the state must be democratic. And what is a democratic state? Now, which is characterized by accountability of the state. Accountability means the state is legally responsible. If state does anything wrong, if the state cannot protect the rights of the individual, then the state can be challenged in the court of law. This is specifically meant by accountability of the state. And further, the democratic state is also characterized by the limited government. Limited government basically means maximum governance and minimum restriction. Right. Then the responsiveness to the spontaneous life and interaction of the civil society. So civil society in a liberal system presupposes a democratic state, and the democratic state is characterized by all these, features, right? And civil society in a liberal state also presupposes that the state will support the civil society, the state will positively interact with the civil society. So this is the understanding of civil society in a liberal system over the public sphere. Contrary, you can find, you just miss it. Now, Marxist, I said that, here I said that the public sphere is viewed differently by the liberals and Marxists. And this is the, liberal view over the public sphere. But here, Marxists, they think that, civil society is a arena of class conflict, right? So Marxists think that civil society is the base of the state, and since state is exploitative, right? Says state always supports one class, hence civil society. Marxists they think that uh, public sphere or civil society, state, all are actually the same thing, right? Now you can read Marxists think civil society as an arena of class conflict, selfish competition, exploitation, where state acts to protect the interest of the owning class. Now, how the Marxists they understand civil society? And they understand civil society in a negative term. Now, what is civil society? Now, it is an arena of class conflict. It is an arena of selfish competition. It is an arena of exploitation. And what the state does, the state protects or state acts to protect or state protects the interest of the owning class. And these owning class are part of the civil society. They control the civil society through, you know, their domination and through exploiting the have-nots. And state is there to protect the have. So for them, state is not independent of society. State is not independent of the society. So civil society does everything, and state supports civil society. Thereby, there is positive relation between the civil society and the state. Right? So civil society is not a check before the state, rather than the state supports the civil society. Society provides the base on which through the superstructure. Here, society represents the economy and superstructure represents the state. Right. Now, in the liberal understanding, now civil society is a check to the state. And here in Marxist understanding, state is a supporter of civil society. What civil society does, state or state authenticate it by supporting the deeds or the action of civil society. State authenticates the civil society, and Marxists they think that uh, whether it is state or civil society, all are guided by the have class. Hence, they perceive civil society negatively. So liberals perceive society positively and Marxists perceive society negatively. So students, are you getting what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay,
Uh,
okay, okay. You just mute yourself and let me share a PPT. So I hope that you can see my PPT.
Yes, sir.
Can you see my PPT? Okay, okay, thank you. Uh, I think we got a sense of civil society. Uh, you know, mostly it is not a state, right? It deals with the public sphere, and civil society protects the rights of the individual, right? And civil society has multiple relationship with the state, and this multiple relationship with the state we will deal it uh, tomorrow, right? And today in this PPT, I have discussed, I have discussed the civil society, its meaning, the relevance, and attribute. Okay. Specifically, we will deal with these three or four aspects of the civil society. Now, what is civil society? We know what is civil society, so let's broaden our understanding of civil society further. Now, civil society refers to a regime committed to secure the rule of law on behalf of common good. So when I'm defining civil society, I'm not defining civil society from the Marxian sense. This is a liberal sense of defining civil society. So from the very beginning, I am making it very clear. So in the liberal sense, see, if someone will ask you define civil society, then you should ask to that person in what sense you are asking, in what perspective you want the definition of civil society. But predominantly, the definition of civil society is, from the liberal perspective. So, from the liberal perspective, civil society refers to a regime committed to secure the rule of law on the behalf of common good. So that means civil society presupposes the state, while maintaining rule of law, it may also violate the rule of law. So the responsibility of securing or protecting the rule of law also lies with the civil society. And civil society will secure the rule of law on behalf of common good. So it is also the function of the state. But if the states fail, or if there is any, uh, what, any problem with the state while maintaining the common good or rule of law, then civil society is there. So common good refers to variety of possible items, including but not limited to provisions of basic rights. So what is common good? The common good means many things. For example, our right, public safety, education, system of communication, road, transport, national park, and so on. So these are, the variety, of variety items. These are the issues of common good, and civil society deals with that. Now, civil society is a space that exists between the national government and the individual. So, in fact, civil society is a bridge between the national government and the individual. So, individual through civil society connect with the government, and the government through civil society also connect with individual. So, in that space, there are variety of different groups and associations, each of which is dedicated to upholding certain values and to achieving certain. So there are, many groups operating operating between individuals and the national government. And these groups are, different from each other. They have different values. They have different aims, but they are, or they may be called as, civil society. Now, these groups are also independent of large corporate. Now, what is not a civil society? So, the civil society group, they are independent of large corporate. They are independent of business organization, whose power to dominate market and to influence government is vast and decisive. So civil society, the goal of civil society is not to dominate the market, is not to influence the government. Now it is whose function? Now it is the function of large corporate business organization. Now it is the function, or it is the goal or end of large corporate and business organization, that how to dominate the market, how to influence the government. But that is not the intention of the civil society. The intention of civil society, students, is this. What is the intention of the civil society? Now, rule of law and common good. And what is the intention of the corporate and business house? That is all about dominating the market and influencing the government. So now you can find the difference between civil society and large corporate and business organization. And you also understand that civil society is also different from the state. So let's move to the next slide. Now, what is civics? Again, we are discussing now civic values. Okay. Now, civil society maintains civic values. Civic values. Now, civic values is an important aspect of the civil society. It is the responsibility of the civil society to promote the moral environment. Now, this is very important. So, while working on common good, civil society should also try to promote the moral environment, right? So, the shaping and reshaping the morality of the individual, morality of the society, that is also the responsibility of the civil society. So, civil society must maintain the civic values, civic sense, and moral environment is an environment. So, what is a moral environment? Now, moral environment is an environment in which individuals are accorded political equality and thus guaranteed the same rights, while at the same time maintaining among themselves a commitment to uphold the civic virtue. Civic virtue refers to the respect citizens have for the common standard and conception of common good integral to their life of a community. So let's reread the sentence. Moral environment is an environment in which individuals are accorded political equality. So one of the character of moral environment is maintaining, political equality, right? At the same time, maintaining among themselves commitment to uphold the civic virtue. So how a moral environment can be built? Moral environment can be built only through maintaining the political equality. It can be built by upholding the civic virtue. And what is civic virtue? The civic virtue refers to the respect citizens. Okay, what is civic virtue? Civic virtue refers to the respect citizens. I think there is some problem in this sentence. Have for the common standard and conception of common good integral to the life. Okay, so what is civic virtue? Civic virtue means uh, a life or a common, you know, a life that is related with the common good, right? So when individual life is integrally connected with the common good, right, of their respective society and community, then we can say that that is civic virtue. Virtue basically means it's a moral, quality, right? It's a quality, or it's wisdom actually. It's a wisdom, right? So moral environment can be built only when there is political equality and there is civic virtue. And civic virtue means when the life of an individual is integrally connected with the life of a community or society, right? So it is the job of the civil society to maintain or to promote the moral environment. So promoting moral environment means promoting political equality and connecting the individual's life with the life of a community. Okay. So let me take a 1 minute break. So welcome back. Now, a civil society at its heart can be characterized by a tension between individualist, viewpoint that is guaranteed by the provisions of basic rights and communal dimension of society that reflect the need to respect the civic virtue requirement, right? A civil society at its heart can be characterized by a tension between an individualist point of view or individualist viewpoint that is guaranteed by the provision of basic rights and communal dimension of the society that reflects the need to respect the civic virtue requirement, right? So there is actually a tension, right? So tension between whom? The tension between individualist viewpoint and tension between the communal dimension of the society, right? So civil society is at the crossroad. So what should be the function of civil society? The function of civil society is to guarantee the basic provisions of right of the individualist, or it is to provide a communal dimension of the society or to promote the communal dimension of the society. So there is a conflict over the function of civil society. सिविल सोसाइटी का काम क्या है? आप इंडिविजुअलिस्ट कहते हैं कि सिविल सोसाइटी का काम, व्हाट इज द फंक्शन ऑफ सिविल सोसाइटी, is to protect the basic rights of the individual, and those who are not individualists or communitarian thinkers within the civil society, they think that the function of civil society is to take care or promote the communal dimension of the society. तो एक ग्रुप कहते हैं सिविल सोसाइटी को इंडिविजुअल के लिए काम करना चाहिए, और दूसरा ग्रुप कहते हैं कि सिविल सोसाइटी को कम्युनल और सोसाइटी को एस्टैब्लिश करने के लिए, प्रमोट करने के लिए, कम्युनल फीलिंग्स को लाने के लिए काम करना चाहिए. Now, what is the relevance of civil society? It is only in a civil society that individuals develop the moral capacity and awareness that helps to protect the basic freedom that people in modern society value. So, what is the relevance of civil society? Now, why civil society should be there? Civil society should be there because it is necessary for individual to develop the moral capacity and awareness. So, civil society promotes the moral character of the individual. And only when individuals become moral, they can enjoy their freedom effectively and efficiently. And by doing duty, they also ensure each other's freedom. Now, outside of a civil society environment, citizens have no regard for standards of citizenship, including, toleration, mutual respect. If civil society is not there, then certainly citizens, civil society is also a tutor, or civil society is a teacher for, I mean, citizens are related with the state, right? And civil society has a role to make uh, the individual as citizen, right? So it's not that individuals becomes automatically a citizen. Citizens are related with the state, right? So civil society, by making an individual into citizen, civil societies also contribute to the state. So without, if there is no civil society, then certainly individual, uh, or that there is if there is no civil society in any state, then the process through which citizens are formed, that process gets obstructed, right? And okay, and civil society also teaches toleration, mutual respect, uh, to all these individuals. So this mutual toleration and mutual respect, that is actually the core of a citizen. So when I'm saying we are all citizens of the state, it means as a citizen we must have at least these two qualities: toleration and mutual respect. And this toleration and mutual respect, that is possible through the function or role and function of the civil society. So students, are you getting? Are you getting?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now these are some certain definitions of civil society. You see, Rudolph, he defines civil society includes the idea of non-state autonomous sphere, empowerment of citizens, trust building, associational life, interaction with rather than subordinate to the state. So civil society is, first of all, to Rudolph, it is non-state autonomous, non-state actor, right? And this non-state actor is related with the empowerment of the citizen, right? And they also work towards the building of associational life, right? And more importantly, civil society, uh, right? Civil society uh, is not, right? trust building association interaction with civil society is not subordinate to the state. Rather, civil society interacts with the state. So, civil society is not below than the state. Right. So, this is the understanding of Rudolph. Dipankar Gupta, he defines civil society as not a thing, but a set of conditions within which individuals interact, collectively with the state. So, when individuals collectively interact with the state, right, then that is a civil society, right? So when uh, a collective body, when a collective body, uh, you know, interact with the state, then that collective body is known as civil society. This is the understanding of Dipankar Gupta. And this, Alexander, he defines civil society is an inclusive umbrella-like concept referring to plethora of institutes outside the state. Okay, it's very simple. So civil society is inclusive, so anyone can be part of the civil society. It's a, it's a very bigger or broader concept, and uh, civil society operates outside the state. This is the understanding of Alexander. Then another, theorist on civil society, Niraja Gopal Jaya, she envisions civil society to cover all forms of voluntary association and social interaction not controlled by the state. Okay, it is also well understood. So civil society means it's a voluntary association. Voluntary. So nobody is paid, right? And civil society is all about the of interaction with the state. So civil society is not controlled by the state. Right. Okay, then to Bratton, civil society is a crucial interaction between the household and the state, characterized by community cooperation, structure of voluntary association, network of public communication. Okay, I think there is no need to understand this definition. I think these four definition is enough to understand what is civil society and how civil society is different from other forms of organization. Right. Okay, to Larry Diamond, right? It is the realm of a recognized. The definition of civil society, again, I'm saying that just skip it. If you are interested, you can read it. Otherwise, you can skip it. So let me move to the other thing. Okay. Now, what is the ecosystem of a civil society? That is important. Ecosystem means, uh, you know, uh, what includes the civil society, right? किस किस को लेके सिविल सोसाइटी बनता है, right? So from this above definition, if you analyze the above definition, what I have in different slides, an ecosystem of civil society may be derived. Right. A ecosystem, civil society का अपना scope क्या है? ना NGOs, non-profit organization, community-based organization that have an organized structure, activity, and are typically registered, entities and groups. तो ये एनजीओ सिविल सोसाइटी का अंदर आ जाता है. Online groups like social media communities with activities that can be organized but may be necessarily have a physical, legal and financial structure. वो भी सिविल सोसाइटी का अंदर आता है. एक तो एनजीओ आता है, दूसरा ऑनलाइन ग्रुप्स वगैरह भी आता है, तीसरा आता है क्या है ना, सोशल मूवमेंट ऑफ कलेक्टिव एक्शन. राइट. सोशल मूवमेंट में जो जितने सारी ग्रुप सोशल मूवमेंट करते हैं वो भी सिविल सोसाइटी का अंदर आते हैं. देन द रिलीजियस लीडर एंड फेथ कम्युनिटीज, राइट, और फेथ बेस्ड ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, वो भी सिविल सोसाइटी का अंदर आता है. देन द लेबर यूनियन, लेबर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, वो भी सिविल सोसाइटी का अंदर आता है. सोशल इंटरप्रेन्योर्स, सोशल इंटरप्रेन्योर, वो भी सिविल सोसाइटी का अंदर आता है. ग्रासरूट एसोसिएशन एंड एक्टिविटीज एट द लोकल लेवल, ग्रासरूट एसोसिएशन, वो भी आता है सिविल सोसाइटी में. Then, corporatives owned by, democratically controlled by the member. So corporates, different corporatives, right? वो भी सिविल सोसाइटी का अंदर आता है. तो यानी कि सिविल सोसाइटी, द स्कोप ऑफ सिविल सोसाइटी इज वेरी, broad, very bigger. So anything can come within the civil society, provided it must, have a principal distance from the state. It will interact with the state, right? It will interact with the state, but it will not, come under the control of the state. Now, these are the characteristics and attributes. Okay, characteristics and attributes of the civil society. That is important. May question may come on this. Now, from the above, we can deduce the following characteristics of a civil society. Now, these are the characteristics. 7 characteristics are: it consists of non-state institution. It consists of plethora of organization and institution outside the family, state, and market. So, what is not civil society? Family is not civil society, right? But I'm saying it's a liberal perspective. It's a liberal perspective because liberalism believes in a private public dichotomy. So family comes under, private. So civil society is all about a public affair. But if you read the Marxian, leftist thinkers, then they consider family as a part of civil society. So we are talking about, civil society from liberal sense. So in the liberal sense, what are not civil society? Now, family is not civil society, state is not civil society, market is not civil society. The next attribute of civil society is that it is an organized society. It is voluntary. It is autonomous body. It is voluntary means you from your own has become part of it. It is organized means it has a goal and all the people are conscious about the goal and they all want to achieve it. They are all committed, hence it's a organized society. Now it is a autonomous society. Autonomous society basically means it is not within the control of the state or any bigger force. It's autonomous. It is a non-profit entity. The civil society, the purpose of civil society is not business, is not to maximize the profit. And finally, it enables citizens' interaction with the state. So, what is the main goal or role of civil society? Now, civil society always enables citizens to interact with the state. So, individual or citizen through civil society can interact with the state, thus facilitating citizens' participation in the governance process. So, this is a very important function of the civil society. So, civil society facilitates citizens' participation in the governance process. So hope that students you got to know about the meaning, nature, character of civil society, the scope of civil society. Uh, Hope that there is no confusion. If you have any confusion, you can ask me right now. So students, am I audible? Could you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. If any confusion, you can ask me. Any confusion? You can also use the chat box. This information, is it helpful for you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So any question or any confusion? So I don't think there is any confusion. If you have any confusion, you can also ask me in the class. So thank you, students. And in the next class, I mean tomorrow, we will discuss about multiple relations between the civil society and the